Hey everybody, I got a great question from a client who asked, are your monitors calibrated for a certain lab? Do we need to specify which lab we work with? That's a fabulous question because everybody's concerned with getting perfectly accurate images from what you see on screen to what comes out on paper. I'm going to answer this in 3 basic points. We calibrate our monitors every Monday. We want to make sure that everything is fresh and tight. So we want to encourage you as a client to calibrate your monitors as often as possible. Once a month is great, more often is probably better. The great thing about calibration devices, no matter what brand you use, is that they are all achieving the same goal. They want to make sure that gray is perfectly neutral, that blacks are perfectly neutral, whites are perfectly neutral. And so how does that translate from getting images to your screen to paper? Well, the labs are going at it in a little bit different direction, but trying to achieve the same goal of neutral gray. So every great lab is going to run test strips every morning. Well, first they're going to make sure their chemistry is perfectly balanced. They plot this and chart it rigorously every day. When they run test strips, they actually place those into a machine that gives them a reading, and it gives them feedback as to whether or not that gray is perfectly neutral or the blacks are perfectly neutral. They make adjustments as needed. So we're all trying to achieve that same goal of getting perfectly balanced so that grays are gray, and blacks are blacks, and whites are whites. And that way everything else translates to an accurate color. If we know that a neutral gray is perfectly neutral on our monitor, we know that the skin tone is probably as accurate as well. Now, there are also lots of other factors that come into play. Well, paper is one of them. Kodak versus Fuji paper. They just have different characteristics. But the bottom line is that all good labs are really trying to achieve the same thing as a good calibration device is, and that's neutral gray. One other thing that comes into play is color space. Most labs require sRGB. I would encourage you to do some investigative work and find out which color space your lab prefers, or what they require, and make sure that when you output your files, you're in the same color space. sRGB is the most common because most of the machines and most of the paper tend to be limited to about the color space of sRGB. Now that may sound a little bit like I'm dodging the question. I want to assure you that I'm not. We have clients around the world who report great success with all of the labs that they use. Now, if you ever do have a problem, we will be glad to get on the phone with your lab and help troubleshoot. We want to get on the phone with you and make sure that we're not missing anything, because ultimately the goal is we want you to be happy with the work that we're doing, and we want to see great color accuracy from the files that we provide you to the paper. Hope that helps.